Hello, awesome Flutter developers. Thank you for joining the session with short notice. And this is now the assignment that I was talking about. I'll just give you an overview of what we learned in class, and then we can dive in straight to what you are supposed to do so that you can complete at least the first page of the assignment that we have planned for today. Now, in class, we're able to look at the main.dat file. We looked at how the root application works. Like, for example, this is the main method, and it calls this my app class, and which has the widget that is the root of the application. And this widget returns material app, and this material app is the root of your application. Now, this will change based on the state management tool that you're going to use, and we are going to talk about it in a short while. And also we talked about changing, we deleted some comments here and some code below here, and we're able to put in login as the initial home. Like when Flutter uploads, it leads directly to login. And you can be able to see that we're able to import the login file, and this login, we're able to create it using stateless widget. We are also able to learn about what scaffold is, and scaffold is majorly like a skeleton. It's like a skeleton of your application. So this is the main root widget that you're going to use a lot. And of course, it contains major components that we need, like up bar. It contains a floating action button, bottom navigation bar, side navigation bar. It contains the major components that we need to construct our application. Now, we also learned, we also added container as our body, as the main widget in our body. And we saw also that there are some widgets that can only have one child. For example, like container can only have a child, but widgets like columns and rows and stack can have multiple children, because column aligns widgets horizontally, and then vertically, and then rows are lines horizontally. So keep an open mind. Let us do this. You'll understand more and more as we do it. Fantastic. Now, we're going to set up some things in the pubspec.yaml. And if you remember, we say that in the pubspec.yaml, in this file, it contains major settings of your Flutter application and the dependencies as well. Dependencies, of course, there are packages in which you are supposed to include in your application. And remember, this is very sensitive towards indentation. Like, you're supposed to put exactly where it's recommended. So just follow exactly as I say, and we'll have just an awesome time. But for the packages, I'll show you a simpler way to add. We'll add the packages using terminal. Fantastic. So first things first, let us link our images to make sure that the moment we call our images in our application, they're able to load. So this is what you're going to do. You can scroll down, and then you'll be able to see a comment here. To add assets to your application, add an asset section like this, then assets, full column, then images like this. So this is what you're going to do. Click before the A, and then delete 1, 2, only twice, so that that hash or that comment is removed, and then click just exactly before the hyphen, and then delete again 1, 2, 3, this time 4 times. And then ours, we've called this images. So we just want to call images once in a way that we want to call the entire folder, not every specific image, because we might add as many images as we go. So our folder name is images. So we'll just delete this, and then we'll have images and /. So you save this when you press Control S, or you click on File and Save, you'll be able to see something building here. Yeah, you'll be able to see something building here. And even when you check in the output, or yeah, you'll be able to see that Flutter pub.get, it's getting images and adding it in your application. And then that is set up. Now, another thing that you're going to set up is state management. I won't go into detail about state management right now, but just set it up, and then we'll talk more as we progress, especially when we dive towards backend. So the state management that we are going to use is called get X, and it will enable us to manage the state of the application. Yeah, we'll learn more about that. Now, this is how you go or look for these dependencies. So for example, we can go to, you can search for get X like that. I'll put the link in the messages. And for packages, you get all the packages in pub.dev. You can go to pub.dev in Flutter and you can search for any dependency over here. But this is the getX. You can read about it. Just read a little about it. You'll see how powerful it is and how you can really control your app with it. Now we'll click on the installing section, and then we have this command. Yeah, you can run this command. This is one way, or you can just type this directly after dependencies, but I know we might have errors. So let us run the command. So I'll copy this code like that, and then we'll come back here to our terminal, then paste, and then press enter. And then wait a little. So you have to make sure that it's the terminal. And remember, you can be able to also run this in your Android Studio. It's just that my Android Studio is still updating, and yeah, it's downloading patch files. So yeah, you'll have the same experience. When you just click on terminal and paste the command, you'll have the same experience. Fantastic. Now, as you can see, that dependency is added and it's here. So it's the same as copy pasting right under the Cupertino icons, or just writing it that way. Now, so after you've pasted or after you've run this command, this is what you are going to do. We are going to add now in the main.dat file in a way that it does not return the material app anymore, because we want our entire application or the root of the application to be managed by a state management library. So instead of material app, you're going to write or change this to get material app. And as you can see, the moment you just start typing, it will tell you to auto import from packages get.dat. So it will know that you have added that dependency already, and it will import here. But if not, for example, if I undo and you just write or type this, you have to really be keen while typing. Yeah, you have to be keen while typing. So for example, this is what you have, and it's erratic. Of course, it has some error. You can click on this bulb and then import get, not get material app, get directly the get.dat, and then you'll have the error cleared. Now that we have all that out of our way, this is the assignment now that we are going to do. We are going to build our login page so that you can be able to see how beautiful it is. And as you can see, let me just find where the login, where the login page is. And when you look at the login page, you can be able to see that all these items are arranged vertically. So it means that you're going to use a column. You're going to use a column and put things here and there. So I want us to just have an open mind and use this, create this without any issue. Fantastic. So we come back to our login screen, and the first thing is, of course, you're going to delete this body, and this is how you delete, to make sure that you delete everything. Click there, you'll be able to see where the file ends. This container is closed here. So you can select like this carefully and delete. I want us to start. And just create this screen. Now, the first thing that you're going to put, of course, is a scaffold. We've put this scaffold there already. Actually, let us just delete everything so that we have a scaffold. So let me undo, and then we can delete everything so that we remain with just scaffold and start, because we are not using app bar in this section. So we have deleted and we have only scaffold. Now in the scaffold, the thing that you're going to start by adding first is we are going to put body. We're not going to put app bar. Yeah, we're just going to put body, and in body, we are going to return a container. In Flutter, a container is just a boxed widget. So don't worry much about it. It has parameters that are really related to a boxed widget. Now in this container, what you're going to add here is we want, as you look at this design, you're able to see that there is some spacing on the side, at the top and bottom. So you're going to put a padding of 20 all round. So this is what you're going to do. We start with of course, the width should occupy the width of the entire screen. So for the width, we can say for the width to occupy the entire screen, as you can remember in Codula, we were saying we were using 100%, but for this, you can either use the get.size.width, because that get material or the getX state management can be able to get the size of the screen, and then you import the library. This is one way. Or you can use the what we call media query. It's very similar to what we learned in CSS. So we can write get.size.width, or you can use media query. So for height, I'll use media query. So this is how you write it: media query.off, then context, okay? Media query.off context, and then after the brackets, you write .size.height, like that. You'll achieve the same results. Now, choose what you want to do with it. Choose your, in quotes, we can say, choose your poison. Yeah. Anyway, after that, we are going to add what we call padding, the one that we are talking about, padding. So to add padding, you say edge insets dot. Of course, you can have only left, right, bottom, or symmetric, that is vertical and horizontal. But for now, we are going to put all round padding, okay? So all round padding of 20, of size 20. And then after this, we are going to put a child in this container, so that, remember, in Flutter widgets, you can put widgets inside widgets inside widgets. You just have to picture what you want to achieve. Now, we are going to put a child called single child scroll view. This one, single child scroll view. And let me explain why. When you look at this screen, you're able to see that this screen is long enough, but to some people or to some screens, when you install this application, it can be too tiny in a way that the content can be cut off. So for us to capture that possibility, to capture all screen sizes, we put at least a single child scroll view, so that in case a screen is so tiny, especially in height, you can be able to scroll and add items. Another thing is, when you put input email and password, that keyboard pops in. So for you not to be able to constrain your size, you just wrap it in a single child scroll view so that you can capture everything in the screen. Fantastic. Now, in this single child scroll view, of course, we can now put the child, and the child should be a column. Yeah, the child should be a column. Now, let's start by putting the child as column, like that. And then we can save this, of course. So this one, when you save it, directly indents for you, but for Android Studio, you have to right click, and then there is format code with that format for it to indent or arrange the code with you. Fantastic. Now, after child column, we can put now children. Fantastic. So in the children, we are going to start with putting an image. Normally, I would just put image, but I want to use a container, because a container is very versatile. It can really do as many things as possible. Sometimes you can even create everything using a container alone. So we can start by putting a container. And this container will have the image. Now for the height, as you can see, the height is around 0.3, like a third, not almost, let me say almost a quarter of the screen, something like that, a big size. So we start with that. That is how you create now. That's how we are going to construct even our user interface designs. So we start with the container, we start with height. So because I like getX and I like mixing sometimes, so I can say get.size.height, So we are starting with height, get.size.height, and then you can say times 0.3. Yeah, something like that. And then we come to width. And width, we can put the same so that it's a box. We put the same, and we put the same by putting height so that it's a square, exactly a square, like that. So we can paste like that so that the height and width are the same. And then after that, there is a property in container we call decoration. And we can type there decoration, and it's called box decoration. It has a couple of elements inside there. So we have box decoration, and then this one will contain, of course, the image. So in the box decoration, we are going to start with image. And then image, of course, box decoration has properties. So image, decoration, image, decoration, image. Yes. Let me save this first. Yeah, image, decoration, image. And then inside here we have image. Image is an immersed file. Yeah, image. And the image that we are going to get is from asset image. Asset means the one that is locally found in your application, but we have network. We have another one that you can get from network. We'll do that as we implement the backend. And then here in the asset name, you have to put 2 quotation marks so that we call the image. Now, it is in the folder called images, and we are going to use login2.png. Let me click on it so that you can be able to see it. Yes, this one, because it has a background, a colorless background. So we shall put here images, the folder name, of course, maybe you've called yours assets. So my images / login to .png. And then we can save this. Now, I want us to run so that you can be able to see this, how far we have gone. I'll click here, run debug. And then, of course, we are using Chrome. So let's wait for the Chrome to load. Now, as we are waiting, we can continue. After the image, we are going, let me put comments so that it's going to be easy for you. So you can add comments with me. So here after the container, we can talk about adding image. Adding image. Fantastic. And then after adding image, put a comma there after the container, press enter, and then we can say adding space. Of course, you can say adding space because we want after we add our text, we don't want it to directly touch the image. Anyway, let us see how it looks like so far. So we come here to more tools and then developer tools, and I'll click on this font so that we have that design. So this one is recommended, especially if your comp is a bit slower. So use this because your computer, especially if your computer is a bit slower. So as you can see, we have that image correctly placed there, exactly the way we have here in Chrome. Now let's go to the login screen. To the login text. So we first of all put the size by adding a space, and the size component that you're going to use is called sized box. Yeah, sized box. And then in the sized box, you're going to put like a height of 30. So we can say their height 30, like that. Yeah. Then after 30, we press like that space, and then we can add some more comments. I'll push this code on GitHub so that you can be able to see, you can be able to even download and so on. Anyway, now after the space, we are going to put a text. We are going to put a text. Hi. Now, how do we put a text? We can press enter and then we write text. Actually, the size between the image and this one is, you can just put 18. 30 is too big. Yeah. So for text, this is what you can put. We write here text. It's just a text element. And then in the text, instead of data, delete that, put 2 quotation marks, and then write login. make sure that after your components, you put a semicolon, a comma, not a semicolon, a comma, because when you come here and add another widget, for example, you'll be able to see that you have, not color, sorry, for example, like a column, you'll be able to see that you have an error because you have to separate, two widgets by a comma. So when I put here comma, you see the error disappears. So make sure you put commas. Now, after you've written the login texts, come here, put comma. After you put comma, we are going to style this. So style, you type style and then text style. Just be patient when it indents for you. Be patient with it. Don't delete anything. Be patient with it. It makes coding faster for you. So in the text style, we are going to put a theme. Now, there are many ways of styling a text, like putting font size, font weight, but you can use a theme because material design has text theme. So how do we put a theme? We write theme. So instead of, sorry, let me undo this. Let's delete this text style like that. So style, this is what you're going to do. We can put theme like that, dot off like that. So theme dot off context, then come outside the bracket so that you're in between the two brackets, outside the context bracket. Then we can put dot text theme like that, dot text theme, dot headline 5, because we want a big text, dot headline 5. And then because that has what we call null safety, we use this item, what do we call it? It's a null operator. I know exclamation mark, but it's to ensure that you don't put values that don't exist. So it's called null safety. I'll share more about that as we go along. So we can put that, and then we put dot copy with, because we want to put now our own things. Headline 5 actually looks good. Let me just save this, and you'll be able to see that login is there, but we want that login to be bold a little bit. We want that login to be bold and the letters to be a little bit spaced, to be spaced a little bit. So we can come here and put dot copy with, so that you can add some more styling to that login. Okay, then we start with font weight, dot bold, then comma, and then we can put letter spacing. We put at least 1.2, because normally by default is 1, so we don't want it to be spaced so much. So this is what we have. Just observe that, and then let us save, and it will hot reload. Okay, there we have it. Pops out very well. Now, after login text, we can put now a sized box. And then I'm going to introduce a small concept later during the week called, we call it custom widgets, because of course these are inbuilt widgets, text, container, but you can create your own custom widget in a way that, yes, you're using normal built-in widgets, but you structure it in a way that you make it custom to you. Now, after this text, what you're going to do next is we are going to now create that, we are going to create a space sized box. So we put here and put comments, sized box, like that, or adding space. Let me just say adding space. Adding space. Now, after you've put there adding space, what you're going to do next is we are going to use sized box, of course, and then put a height of 30, so that at least when you look at this design, you can be able to see that login here, we have like something like a huge space in between. Yeah, something like a huge space. Now, this is how you create. I can just mention a little bit because custom widgets are very simple. This is how you create a custom widget. and then I'll stop from there so that we can continue the session in class. Fantastic. I'll share the video during the week. Now, a custom widget, you just use a normal widget, but you you customize it in a way that it has fields. I hope you remember when you were learning basics of programming about classes and fields. Like they are like variables, but they are specific to a particular class, so that when you call that class again, you are able to use that field as its properties. So this is the same. This is what you are going to do for you to be able to add widgets, or to add, for you to be able to add custom widget. You can come here to the UI folder. Of course, you have UI folder, and there we have then main.dat. Now in the UI folder, you can right click and then click on new folder, and this folder, call it widgets. Widgets, because this will contain like our custom widgets. We don't have many, we only have a button and a text box. So in this widgets folder, we are going to create a new file, and that file, we are going to call it txt field. Let me put in small letters, txt underscore field dot dat. It's like a text field, okay? Like a text field dot dat, like that. And then after you've created it, you know the drill. It's a stateless widget, so we say STL. When you type STL, you are going to be able to see a stateless widget. Press enter, and then in the class, we are going to call it txt field. That is capital T and capital F, txt field. And of course, we are going to import material dat, so that we don't have problem. It was screaming for us, but right now, everything is okay. Okay, so after you've created the text field, the first thing that you're going to do is we are going to create the fields. Now we are going to create what we call the class fields and import some things here. So after the key here, after line 4, or after you've written, after you've seen the key, we are going to now create these fields, because we want our texts. Where is it? Yeah, we want to create just one text field like this. And in this text field, it has some properties. Now, depending on what the user wants, for example, in this text field, instead of me developing the whole text field in this file, I come in this file, I create in the login file, I create a text field, I specify all the components, and then I come again that is for email, and then I come again and create a text field and specify all the properties, and they are similar. You can just create one and specify the properties that you want to change, and then you come into this login file and alter it slowly. I feel like this is a lot, but it's not. Just keep an open mind. The more you do it, the more easier it gets. So after this key, of course, let us start by creating the fields. So we come here, you press enter, and then for the fields, of course, in Flutter, we are going to use final keyword. So we say final, and you're going to have your text input type. You're going to know what text input type is. Text input type is, for example, you want to specify come an email or password or those specific text, so that when someone clicks on it, it obscures the text and things like that. So we have text input type, and you can call this like a custom field input type, like that. And then of course we end this with a semicolon, like that. Yeah, of course, it is screaming for us here because we are supposed to create a constructor for them. It will auto create for us. Fantastic. Now, after that, after text input type, we are going to have another field we call hint, the text hint, because those are different parameters that change. So we say final string. It can just be a string because it's not a very special text. And then you can say hint text, and put a semicolon. And then after that, we are going to say a Boolean, like to obscure text. We want obscuring text is especially for passwords, it puts those ... So we can say it either obscures text or not. So that's a Boolean variable. So final bool and then obscure text. I think I can just type, yeah, obscure text, semicolon. And then we can now add a parameter that is called controller. And I'm going to put it like it's not a must for it to be there. So I'll say final text editing controller. And text editing controller is the one that can make you manipulate that field, make the user manipulate that field and capture that manipulation as you go. But that we'll discuss further in backend, during backend. So after you say text editing controller, you put a question mark. You're just telling it that this is not a must. These other ones will be it will be a must for you to put this when you're calling this text field in any other file, but this one, it's not a must. So you're going to say like that and then put text editing controller. And then we click here so that we remove this error like this, add final formal parameters like that. And then of course, these ones are supposed to be, they are not supposed to be null. Yeah, so you click again on that bulb to add a required keyword like that. You click on that bulb. So it's basically debugging for you. So this is what I've done. Let me undo so that you can be able to understand. I've clicked on this text field where it's the error is, clicked on the bulb, add final formal parameters. And then of course, these ones are the ones which are required. And then just clicked on them and clicked on the bulb, add the required keyword like that. Click on the error, add the required keyword, finally click on the error, add the required keyword. Now let us go and construct the interface so that when we call this field in the login section, you're just able to see it. Yeah, you're just able to see the customization. Fantastic. So in the return value or in the return section, instead of container, we are going to return a theme because our texts field, we want to theme it to look in a special way. Now in this theme must have a property called data, and data is we can now use theme dot of data, something like that. So we say theme dot of context, and then we say dot copy with, so not there, sorry, context outside, yeah, dot copy with like that. And then you can put splash color. Splash color is like the surrounding color of that outside the text field. So you can say splash color is transparent. Yeah, colors.transparent. Yes, we don't want it to have the colors. Fantastic. And then we put child. Now the child, of course, it's a text field. And that's why we have named our class to be TXT field, because text field is a keyword in Flutter. Now in the text field, we shall start with the controller, of course, to make our life easy. Controller. And then we call this as the controller now, because these are the values that are changing. Text editing controller. So we can put there text editing controller like that. And then so that when we call this class, we define what this is with the properties that we have here. Fantastic. After controller, we put autofocus. We can say autofocus false, so that when a user opens it, it does not focus on it. And then after that, we can style this a little bit so that the font, the color, blah, 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 higher. So for the that is out of focus, false. And then we can say style, text style, text style. Okay, now in the text style, you can put font size 16, at least so that it's a bit visible, comma, color, and this color, it's in hex format, and hex format in Flutter, you write it in a different way. So you write color like that, and then bracket 0, X, then I have FF, BD, C6, CF. You can even pause and just type the color, but it's a lighter shade of gray, some light shade of gray. And then we can now put some box decoration after the color. So come outside this quotation, after this comma, and then let's put box, what is it called? Decoration, not box decoration directly, like, yeah, decoration. And then we put box decoration. So what I was talking about in terms of the color, as you can see, just a second, this one 00FF, as you can see in this design, okay, cancel. This text box is a bit light. It's like some light shade. So it's lighter than the background. Yeah. So yeah, that's what we want to achieve. Now in the box, actually it's not box decoration, sorry, it's input decoration, because this is a text field. So it's input decoration, like that. So in the input decoration, we can put field, we can say true, so that it has like a field color. Then now we put the field color now. Field color is colors.white. Want it to be white behind the background. And then hint text. Of course, we know hint text is one of the variables that we have created, or one of the fields that we are going to use. So that's why we are putting hint text. This hint text that we've just created it as a field. Higher hint text, we say hint text, like that, hint text. Okay, and then we can say we can put some content padding. So that there is some padding on left, right, and so on. So we can say padding, of course, you use edge insets dot only. This time, at least you've gotten an experience of using edge insets dot only. So we have left 14, bottom 16, top 16. Yeah, we don't bother about the right. I don't know if people put content way past the right. And then after that, you can put a comma here and then say focus border, so that when someone is typing on that text box, there is like a border that surrounds that text box, so that you can see, this is the active text box that I'm adding data. So focused border, we put outline input border, and then we can put some colors here and there. Higher. So how do we put that? We start with outline input border, and then we say border sides. We start with border side, then we say border side, like that, and then start with colors.white, because initially it's colors.transparent. No, colors.this, but so we change it to white, colors.white, and then we can put border radius, so that yeah, colors.white, then come outside there, put a comma, and then you can say border radius dot circular, because as you can see, this it has some rounded corner on the side. I hope it's a bit clear, but there is some round corner when I select. There's some round corner on the side. So I hope you can be able to see it clearly in yours. So radius.circular, we can put about 15 like that. And then we are done there. And then we are done with the outline border. Then we can finally do the enabled border. Yeah, enabled border, because we have, this is focused border, but the enabled border, like the text field can be disabled completely. But when it's like this one, it's enabled. So what is the border? So we can say underline input border, like that. And then we start, of course, with border side, or even with border radius, any can do. So we say border side like that. And then colors.white. So we just want it to be the same anyway, but you can change it so that it's a bit fancy and different. Colors.white. Like you can even put here colors.red, so that when someone clicks on that, it's focused, it changes to red. But anyway, colors.white. And then we can now put border radius finally after here, put a comma, border radius. We can say border radius to circular again, so that, yeah. Dot circular and put 15. So we have these components ready. We have this component ready. Now, this text field, we can reuse it everywhere in the application. We just call this TXT field and ensure that these fields are having some values, and that's it. So this is what you're going to do. You come to the login after the size 30, you put a comma, and then you press enter, of course. And then now we can write now a comment and say our custom text widget or text field, our custom text field. Okay, field. Yes. Now, after we say our custom text field, press enter. And then this is what you're going to do. You're going to write here TXT field. You're going to write TXT field, the way you've called that class. And as you can see, auto import from package courses _ app. So you click there and you can see the required fields are already inputted. So input type, of course, because we want to start with an email one, we can say input type, text input type dot email address, text input type dot email address, hint text. What do we have as hint text? Hint text is email. So we write there email and put, because it's a string, put in quotation mark email, and then obscure text false, because we are not putting as password. Yeah, obscure text false. Then save this and let's rush here. You'll be able to see that text field showing. Okay, let's wait and see. Fantastic. So we have email. Oh, that was a long one, but it saves you time, because anytime you want an input, you're just going to call on that TXT field. And let's now appreciate the beauty. So first of all, let's add a small size, and I'll just copy this, adding space so that we save on time, Control copy. Then after the text field, put a comma, press enter twice, at least some backspace, paste, adding a space, but this space you're going to put as 16. And then to also save time, I can copy this, our custom text field, Control C, and then paste after here twice. And then now this one is password. So I can call this, instead of email address, I can just say it's just a normal text. Hint text is password. And then obscure text, of course, should be true. Then I save this and we rush very quickly here. You can be able to see password. So here's the difference. When I type here, when I click email, of course, I can just type email at Gmail, something at gmail.com. But for password, you can be able to see Okay, the obscure text, have I put false? It's supposed to be true. Okay, yeah, I think I will, we can debug that, but it's supposed to obscure, like obscure text here is false, here is true. So it's supposed to hide this text so that no one can be able to see your password. Anyway, fantastic. So as you can see, the hint is working very well. So this is the beauty of using custom field, and you're going to only create one last custom field so that we complete this page, but you're going to create it in a short while. Now, after you've put all the text field that is required, we are going to put now a small sized box. There is this text here, forgot password. Where is it? Forgot password here. Now this one is a button, but with colorless background. It's very similar to what we are doing in Cordula. So here, what you can do is you can put a row and then align it towards the end so that it just pushes the forgot password button towards the end. So this is what you're going to do. First of all, of course, you're going to add a space. We can just copy this, Control C, and then after the custom text field, paste the space there. But this space, we are going to put a height of 10, like that. And then after you've put the height of 10, we now put the row. So we can write a comment like this. It's very important to write comments so that you understand what your code is about. So we can say here, a row with button at the end. So of course, the end of the row is towards the right side. So we just write the row like that. And then for us to put the button at the end, there is a row property we call main axis alignment, and it's main axis alignment dot end, so that it pushes it towards the end. Now let's put children, and in the children, we are going to put that text button. Text button. Text button. Okay, so when you put text button, of course, there are some things that will autofill. On pressed, we want this to perform some actions to lead to the forgot password field, but for now, we'll just put something blank. So for you to put something blank, delete that, put two, what is it called, brackets, and then after the two brackets, put two curly brackets. So it's a bracket, normal bracket, and then curly bracket, so that the error disappears. Yes, normal bracket and a curly bracket. And then for the child, we are going to put a text. We are going to put a text. So just type there a text. And then in the text, we will write inside there, forgot password. Forgot password, like that. And then after that, come outside the quotation mark, but within that bracket, put a comma so that we can style this text. So we can say style, text, capital T, sorry, style, then text, style, style, text, style. And then let's put a bracket. We start with the color. As you can see, that color is some RGBO color, yeah? Or some color, some custom color. So we can just type color. Now, color, for this case, you can use from RGBO. It has red, green, blue, and opacity. So we'll just put for the R section, we can put 247. For the green section, we put 153. And for the blue section, we put 46. And opacity, we don't want it to have any transparency. So we will put 1 like that. Higher. We save this and rush back to our browser. Yes, you can be able to see forgot password showing there very nicely. Yeah, forgot password. And then of course, this button is generic. Why? Because we have it here in the reset password with its different text. Let it load a little. Reset password, very similar button. And as you can see, even here in the coding section, enroll course, very similar button. Add edit course, it is very similar. So we're going to only create it once so that we can use it everywhere that we want to use it. Everywhere that we'll have a button, we are going to call it. So that is dynamic coding. It makes, or object-oriented programming, it makes our coding easy. So very quickly, we are going to create one last final widget, and then we shall be able to finish this, this page very quickly. Now, this is what you're going to do. We shall come here to back to our widgets folder, right click, then new file, and then in this file, we shall call it btn.dat, like simple as that. And then of course it's a stateless widget. And then we call it btn, simple. And then we can import material.dat. We can import material, and we are comfortable like that. So this one is going to only have two things here. It's going to have the text and the on pressed feature, so that when it's pressed, where does it go? And only the text. But the colors, we're going to fix it as it is. But you know, there are some scenarios where the colors of the button are different. You put it as a field so that you can change it whenever you want to. Now here we can say field final, sorry, not field, final string text semicolon. This one is a semicolon, the other ones are just commas. Yeah, so final string text, then you can say final. Now for the click function, it's a data type called void callback, like that, void callback. And then you can just give it any name, like on pressed or on tapped or on click, whichever name you want to. Yeah, put. So on pressed, like that. And then this one is screaming for us. We can right click there, put final form parameters, and then we can put the required word, just the way we did in the text field, like that. And then instead of this returning a container, we double click on that and then change that to a text button. A text button. And as you see, or as you saw the text button, or this button here, okay, this button has some small rounded corner. It has that login text written there nicely. So this is what we are going to do. In the text button, we can start with on pressed, so that we are done with that. On pressed is just on pressed. We are calling this final parameter here, on pressed here. And then after that, you can press enter. So child is the missing parameter here. So we put child, and the child is text, like that. Now in the text, we have the text as the, instead of putting quotation mark like this, no, we want that text to be custom. So we just write text, because this text is a string parameter that we just created there. And then after the text, let me just save this so that it's easy for us. So after the text, you put comma, and then let's style this text. So we say style, we put style, and the style, it's text style. So of course we can just use text style, not the theme. You can use a text style or a theme, whichever one you want to choose. Now we can start with font size. Font size, we can say 16, comma, font weight, we can put bold. Buttons have bold font weight, or you can say font weight, we have .w800. It's very similar to CSS, but you can just use bold. And then yeah, we are done with the text. And then let us style the button now. We can style the button. Styling the button is after this child, after this text, child of the child of the button. Now let us style the button. We can say style, like that, and then text button dot style from, so that we can style this button. Text button dot style from, or higher. Now in the style from, we can put, because we want the button to stretch and just be the width of the screen, except that of course it does not touch the padding. We start by saying minimum size dot double dot infinity. Okay, size, it should be in brackets, sorry, size like that. And then we say size. So this one is, we are putting the width and then the height like that. So we say double, so in the size double dot infinity, that is the width, so that it just expands. And then for the height, we can just put 40 pixels there, it's enough. Then primary, like its primary color. Most buttons color are white because the text colors dot white. And then we have background color. It's a special red, and we can use RGB as well. So we can say background color. We say colors dot from color, sorry, color, not colors, color dot from RGBO, the second one. For the red section, we put 230. For the green section, we put 88. Blue section, we put 62. Okay, 62. And then finally, for the opacity, we put 1. Fantastic. And then we shall put other things later, like we want to put a Google font. And then of course we can put padding. So let's put a comma here, padding, edge insets. At least this time we can use symmetric, so that vertical, we specify vertical. Vertical can be, of course, you can just put at 0, or you can just remove it so that it's 0. And then horizontal, we can put 16. And then shape, because we have that rounded corner there, so we use shape as a widget, as a feature or as a property, shape, and say rounded rectangle border, like that, rounded rectangle border. And then we say border radius dot all. And then in the radius, we put radius dot circular, though this radius dot circular is not a must. If you're specifying the corners, like corners have different borders, you can write there, but here you can just put 5. Okay, this one might not, it won't work. If it's a container, it would have worked. So you say radius dot circular, and then put there 5. Whew, and we are done with the button. Now it's just a matter of us calling this button. How do we call it? We come to the login section, or the login file, and then we are going to call this button. So we can add this, we can copy this space again like that, Control C. Then after the text button, put a comma, press enter twice, back like 3 times, and paste to add that space. Of course, when you save, it indents for you, and then press enter, and then you can say our custom button like that. Yeah, custom button. And then the custom button, of course, you just write BTN. It will be able to see the package here. So BTN, and the text, of course, you can say in quotation mark, sorry, login. Then on pressed, because you're not implementing that right now, you put 2 brackets, 2 normal brackets, and curly brackets like that. When we save this, you are going to be able to see the button. Fantastic. Okay, so it's not loading. Let me see where the problem is. Okay, it was still reloading. I was a bit impatient. So let me see. Okay. Okay, so we have an error somewhere. We have an error. So we have the error. Okay. Just a second, let me comment out this, and then you can be able to see where the problem is. Hot restart. 1 second. So debug console is a way in which we can be able to debug our errors, and I think we still have the same issue. No, the issue has disappeared. Yeah, so whenever we put a button, it's throwing an error. So what we can do is we'll stop from here, and then we shall continue. It's just a small fix. I don't want to tire you guys. So have an awesome time. Just try it out up to the far that we have reached, and then we can continue officially in class. Thank you and have an awesome time.